I used to sit near the railway tracks almost every afternoon. Most people in my village thought it was strange. To them, it was just a train. But to me, it was something else. It was a reminder that there was a whole world outside the village. Every day, I'd watch it arrive, wait for a few minutes, and then disappear into the distance. And every single time, I found myself wondering what it would feel like to be on it. The truth is, I never felt like I belonged in the life that had been planned for me. My parents were strict. Especially my father. He wasn't a bad person. He worked hard and cared about our family. But he believed that a daughter should stay close to home, follow the rules, and not ask too many questions. Unfortunately, I asked a lot of questions. I wanted to know what existed beyond the village. I wanted to know if I could build something of my own. And most of all, I wanted the freedom to make my own choices. Every time I talked about my dreams, my father would shake his head. "The world outside this village isn't what you think it is," he would say. "Those ideas will only lead to disappointment." After hearing that enough times, I stopped arguing. At least out loud. But inside, nothing had changed. If anything, my dreams became even bigger. Emma had watched the train for years, dreaming of freedom, while other teenagers spent their evenings talking with friends. She would stare at the passing carriages and wonder, where were they going? What kind of lives were they living? And most importantly, were they happy? The village had never felt like home. It was a place where everyone knew everyone else's business, a place where dreams were often replaced by responsibilities. Then one evening, a heated argument changed everything. Harsh words were exchanged. Tears were shed. And for the first time in my life, I realized that waiting for permission would never lead me anywhere. Before that night was over, sitting alone in my room staring at the ceiling, I made a decision that would alter the course of my entire future. I remember thinking something that scared me. What if this is my life forever? What if 10 years from now, I'm still sitting here wondering what could have been? By the following sunrise, I would no longer be just a girl with a dream. I would become a girl with a plan. I'll never forget that morning. I woke up before the sun. The sun hadn't even come up yet, and my heart was beating so fast. I stood there staring at my bedroom door for what felt like forever. Am I really doing this? I kept asking myself. Part of me wanted to crawl back into bed, forget the whole thing, and stay where I was. It would have been easier. Safer. But then I remembered the promise I had made to myself the night before. If I didn't leave now, I probably never would. So I quietly got out of bed, picked up my bag, and packed the few things I owned, 2 dresses, a small blanket, and the little bit of money I had managed to save over the years. It wasn't much. Honestly, looking back, it was nowhere near enough. Before leaving, I looked around my room one last time. The old wooden bed, the small window where I used to watch the rain, the walls that had been part of my entire childhood. I had no idea when, or if, I would ever see them again. Then I took a deep breath and quietly walked outside. 111111111. The village was still asleep. The air was cool, and the streets were completely empty. And for a second, everything felt peaceful. Every step toward the train station felt heavier than the last. I kept thinking someone would stop me. Maybe my father would wake up. Maybe someone would recognize me. Maybe I would lose my courage and turn around. But none of that happened. A few minutes later, I heard the train whistle. My stomach dropped. Because suddenly, this wasn't a dream anymore. It was real. As the train slowly came to a stop, I stood there frozen. This was the moment I had dreamed about countless times, and suddenly, it felt terrifying. Taking a deep breath, I climbed aboard. As the train started moving, I looked out the window and watched my village disappear behind me. At first, it felt amazing. But after a few hours, that feeling started to change. The closer I got to the city, the more nervous I became. What if nobody hired me? What if I ran out of money? What if my father had been right all along? When the train finally arrived, I stepped onto the platform and immediately felt overwhelmed. There were people everywhere. The noise was constant. The buildings seemed to touch the sky. And for the first time since leaving home, I realized something that made my stomach drop. I had absolutely no idea what was waiting for me on the other side of that journey. I was completely alone. No family. No friends. No plan. Just a bag, a few coins, and a dream. What I didn't know was that within the next 48 hours, I'd be hungry, broke, completely alone, and closer than ever to giving up. Those hours would test my courage in ways I could never have imagined. I don't think I'll ever forget my first day in the city. The night before, I had fallen asleep with hope, imagining myself finding a job, earning money, and finally starting the life I had always dreamed about. Reality turned out to be very different. The next morning, I woke up early and started walking through the city looking for work. The first shop I entered was a small grocery store. I straightened my clothes, took a deep breath, and asked if they were hiring. The owner barely looked up. No. That was it. Just one word. I told myself not to worry. There were thousands of shops in the city, surely one of them would give me a chance. So I walked to another store. Then another. And another. Each time, I heard the same answer, no. Some people were polite. Others weren't. One shop owner looked at me and laughed. You've never worked in the city before, have you? I shook my head. We need experience, not dreams, he said before turning away. Those words stayed with me for the rest of the day. By afternoon, my feet hurt from walking. My confidence was disappearing. The excitement I had felt on the train was gone. All that remained was fear. What if nobody hired me? What if I had made a terrible mistake? What if my father was right? As evening approached, I counted the money I had left. The number scared me. I had far less than I thought. Buying food meant having even less money tomorrow. So I made a choice. I didn't eat. At first, I thought it wouldn't be a big deal, but as the hours passed, my stomach felt emptier and emptier. That night, I sat alone on a bench near a busy street watching people walk past with bags of food and smiling faces. Nobody knew who I was. Nobody cared. For the first time since leaving home, tears filled my eyes. I wanted to go back. I wanted my mother's cooking. I wanted my old bed. I wanted the comfort of knowing what tomorrow would look like. Maybe chasing dreams wasn't as easy as I had imagined. Maybe dreams were only for people who were luckier than me. I was exhausted, starving, and seriously thinking about giving up and going back home. As those dark thoughts filled my mind, I noticed an older woman across the street struggling to move several heavy crates by herself. People walked past her without stopping. Nobody offered to help. I almost ignored her too. After all, I had my own problems. But something inside me told me to stand up. What I didn't know at the time was that helping that stranger would become the most important decision I had made since leaving home. I crossed the street and helped the older woman carry the heavy crates into her small bakery. At first, she seemed surprised that a stranger had stopped to help. After we finished, she handed me a bottle of water and asked why I looked so tired. Without meaning to, I broke down and told her everything: the village, the train, the failed job search, and the money I was running out of. She listened quietly. Then she smiled. You seem hardworking, she said. Come back tomorrow morning. The next day, she offered me a small job at the bakery. The pay wasn't much, but it was enough to keep going. The opportunity she offered me changed everything. Weeks turned into months. I worked hard, learned new skills, and slowly started building a life for myself. Years later, I opened a business of my own. Now, whenever I hear a train whistle in the distance, I smile and remember that difficult journey. Because the moment I was closer than ever to giving up was actually the exact moment my new life began.